Right, okay, let's give it a go. Welcome, everybody. This is Mapping Outer Space, an update to Lucid Dreaming. I'm Amber Azurescale, a celestial guardian dragon from Germany. And also, I'm a scientist, so I like to analyze things, and you will probably notice that during the panel. So, first of all, this is some kind of panel in a series. I did 2 panels on lucid dreaming for the last Draconic Summit already. They are about basics, introduction, and then some practical experiences. So I put the links to those at the beginning of the chat. You will have to scroll up all the way up. I hope they are visible. If you did not attend, don't worry. We'll do a little recap here. And that actually is already the first agenda point. Let me see. There we are. First agenda point is the recap. Okay. Then we have expand agenda. Okay. Okay. So for the new stuff, we will have a look at lucid dreaming frequency and duration. So how did I fare in that regard, and also some general findings. Then I'll talk a lot, or a bit about the dream contents. I think I found some symbols that are reoccurring, and I will talk about what I call compound analysis. And then there will be some conclusions and main messages and outlook. So this one is actually... Is there some problem? Okay. Okay, I will work it out. Okay, so I'll be mostly talking about obviously my dreams, yeah. So it's kind of personal experience like panel, but the question is, of course, what can you take away from it? So first of all, I think I can provide an example for what active dream work can achieve, what effort it is, possibilities, limits, benefits. So that might serve you as just an inspiration for maybe your own work. And then I'm not sure, maybe there are some generalizable things, we'll see. So there are 2 books that are my main sources. It's Steve LeBerg's Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, highly recommended. This covers the basics, all the theory, and a lot of lucid dreaming induction techniques. And then there is Lucid Dreaming Gateway to the Inner Self by Robert Wagner. That one, it does contain really important information. I didn't read it through yet. I'm at chapter 5 of 18. It's more about applications and how lucid dreams can be life-changing. However, it is somewhat less structured than LeBerg. It has important findings, some of which I also can confirm and have made myself, but it's more like a narrative autobiographic style of thing. Yeah? So I actually prefer to have all the facts thrown at me. Don't want to read all them stories, but that's just me. Hey. Let's see, I think I've added some intermediate slides. So just a short review to get us on track. Definition: a lucid dream is a dream in which you are aware that you are dreaming. That's the most basic thing. You may or may not have some extent of control over the dream. And most of the time it's possible to create small objects or change your body shape or jump from one dream scene to another, or just jump out of the window and go flying. You should only do that if you're sure that you're dreaming, obviously. So these things, but influencing the dream to full extent, that is actually, according to Wagner, neither the goal nor is it really possible, because to some extent the dream will also always be set by subconscious things. Yeah, so it's not actually your interest to fully control that. Wagner says a lucid dreamer does not control the dream, just as a sailor does not control the sea. Yeah? And I think, yeah, I think it's quite accurate. What's more important, usually it's possible to interact with the dream world in a conscious way. So that means you can talk to dream people and characters, and sometimes there are just voices. So I'll just refer to dream entities. You can talk to them, you can ask questions, and as I said, you can move around, you can fly, and so on. And what is a very distinct feature of lucid dreams, and in an ideal lucid dream, this world you are in will just feel completely real. It will feel like reality. You will have all your senses, sometimes even stronger than in the waking world. And I could really confirm that all senses are there. So applications. Many people just use lucid dreams for having fun, but there's lots of more serious applications. You can solve problems. You can treat mental issues, for example, anxiety or nightmares. You can practice real-world skills. That is because if you do something in a dream, the brain actually generates the same muscle signals as it would in the real world. They are just blocked by sleep paralysis, but the brain is actually doing the same thing. So you can practice, well, dancing or martial arts or something. Yeah? And of course, you can explore the subconscious, and that is my ultimate goal. I'm doing it to figure out who am I, what am I, how does it relate to Dragon, are there any past lives, concurrent lives? I just want to know that all. Okay, so a little bit of theory. I still like to recap. This slide is from last time. So basically, there are 4 sleep phases, which you traverse subsequently every night. One full cycle, so four phases make up one full cycle, takes about 90 minutes. So if you do an 8-hour sleep, you have 5 cycles in total. Dreams and lucid dreams can be expected in the REM phase, rapid eye movement. I think that's pretty well known. Much REM activity can be expected in the morning because the REM phases tend to get longer as the cycle count increases. That is, if you follow a standard sleep pattern. Checking something, okay. Standard sleep pattern looks like this. You got your 8 hours of sleep, yeah, and then the last part of this is I've marked in orange because this is actually where lucid dreams can be expected to happen. They can happen earlier, but this is a typical time where the probability is just highest because the REM phases are longest. So, the thing is, if you are sleep deprived or if you have during the night wake ups, then the cycles can be modified. Yeah. So especially if you're sleep deprived, you can reach the REM phase much faster, and that is called sleep onset REM or SOREM. And I need to switch. Okay. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm referring to the right 24 hours clock already. But let's take a look at the left one first. You can see that I've introduced a little waking time after 6 hours of sleep. This is a lucid dreaming technique that is called wake back to bed. So you stand up during the night after 6 hours and you stay awake for half an hour or let's say 1 hour, and then you go back to bed. that is supposed to increase the probability of having a lucid dream in that target period even more, yeah, because you somehow activate your awareness, and that might transport into the dream. And then what I'm doing, I follow a non-standard sleep pattern. It's a biphasic sleep pattern, and that is actually the right 24 hours clock. I go to sleep at around 2 o'clock normally in the morning. Then I'll have 4 hours, 4.5 hours, wake back to bed, and then about 2 hours of lucid dream target period. And in addition to that, 1 day sleep phase takes usually also about 2 hours, maybe only 1.5, just to get 1 full cycle. And at the beginning of the day sleep phase, lucid dreams also happen. You will also find 2 new terms here. Dialed, that means dream-induced lucid dreaming. That is, you are dreaming, and then at some point you will get lucid. You will get aware that you're dreaming right within the dream. And then there's wild. That means wake-induced lucid dreaming. It basically means that you get lucid as soon as you fall asleep, more or less, yeah? Some people even can fall asleep consciously. That seems to be possible. I didn't manage, but notably, with this sleep pattern, in the day sleep phases, wilds are bound to occur at the beginning of the day sleep phase. And in sometimes I just can't seem to get around them. At other times they don't happen. It's a strange thing, yeah. So, but actually, I'm having a lot of wilds, and usually they lead to out-of-body experiences. Some might call it astral travels, but I just call it out-of-body experiences. I just leave my bed and I'm in an environment that somehow resembles my bedroom. That's what happens pretty often. Okay, yeah, then still recapping how to get lucid. Yeah, induction techniques. Well, the basic one is to develop an excellent dream memory, and I've seen in the chat that some people have trouble with it. Unfortunately, I don't have a good solution. The standard recommendation is to have a dream logbook. But yeah, I mean, if you really don't dream, then I don't know what to do. Having a dream logbook actually is already some kind of basic effort, because you have to get up during the night, or at least in the morning, and write down your last dream. At least write down some bullet points. And yeah, I mean, it's I don't actually like it too much. Yeah, I don't like to get up during the night and like to write down things, and I just want to sleep away. Yeah, I like sleeping actually. Then next induction technique is you need to learn your dream signs. Those are actually things that appear or happen in your dreams, by which you can tell that you are dreaming. Of course, that is possible when you've written down a couple of dreams. And then the techniques for inducting lucidity, they generally work through raising your general awareness. That is checking for dream signs in the waking world, do dream checks in the waking world, constantly ask yourself, am I dreaming or not? Designing some dream checks. There's plethora of possibilities. Then it's also possible to set intentions just before you get to bed. You set solid intention, I want to become lucid. Or you can inject some kind of subconscious suggestions. Some techniques involve a pretty strict protocol. For example, LaBerge's mnemonic-induced lucid dreaming, or MILD, it goes as follows. When you wake up at night, you remember your last dream, you vividly visualize how it could have become lucid, and you mentally repeat the affirmation, next time I'm dreaming, I will know that I'm dreaming, while you fall asleep again. By that explanation, I think you get that this is not too simple to do when you are in the middle of the night and all sleepy and dizzy and just want to get to sleep again. Well, the problem is no technique gives you 100% success, as it seems, and there is no one fits it all, or them all. So there is a lot of experimentation needed, and even if you got a technique that somehow works, it sometimes just won't. That can be very frustrating. I didn't find a surefire way to get lucid. That's the bottom line. So how long can lucidity be kept, and how can one get more lucid? Yeah, the interesting point is there are stages of lucidity, and also Wegener describes that, but I was noticing that right from the start. I like to compare it like it's like watching a movie in a cinema. Yeah, you just might just sit back and relax, enjoy the story, and I don't even care if it's a dream. That's what usually happens. Then, next stage, you might realize, hey, this is a dream. You still don't care. You just still relax, sit back. Well, it's a dream, but well, it's a nice story. Let's watch it. That's a form of lucidity, but it doesn't help much. Then next stage is you might think, oh, it's a dream. So let's stand up, get in there, and interact with it. And at that point, you notice that you need to do something. It's not enough to know that you're dreaming. You need to get up from your seat and get active, get in there. And that is a certain type of effort that is needed. And sometimes actually you are reluctant to do it because if it's night and you just want to sleep, you don't want to do anything. So that can be kind of barrier. Oh, hang on. My loudspeaker actually switched off. Okay. Okay, final stage. You might apply interaction in dream that you planned while you were awake. But that, of course, needs really a high level of awareness. Yeah. But by that you can actually find out about the meaning of a specific dream symbol. Yeah. You just make a plan while you were awake, and then you carry out the plan. Okay. Okay, but it all doesn't happen automatically. I think that was pretty clear. Now coming to the new stuff. Okay, we're quite good in time, I think. We'll come back to the 3 sleep patterns. Actually, last time when I showed that slide, I was also showing some more crazy sleep patterns, and I was wondering, am I crazy enough to try them? And the answer is yes. So here are two more. Yeah. So let's start at the left side. This 24-hour clock is called Everyman Tree, also known as Tigerfly. I think Tigerfly is the name of the person who invented it. You see that still it has this core night sleep period, 4.5 hours here, and then wake back to bed and lucid dream target period. So that is actually what I'm still doing now. But instead of the full core day sleep period, it has 2 naps of 30 minutes. My experience with that one is it actually worked quite well. My naps took usually a bit longer. I usually set 45 minutes and then the alarm clock rang. But I found that I could fall asleep in 30 minutes. Sometimes it took me 5 minutes. And not only that, but I could also have some intense dreams within just 30 minutes or even less. Sometimes it was just about 25. And I was really thinking, hey, that is amazing how much can happen in just 25 minutes. I really didn't think I could do that. Main drawback, I was tired basically all day. And maybe I didn't do it long enough. Maybe I should retry. I don't know. Okay. Right side, this is called quad core. And actually, I call it dream advice because this was somehow advised to me by a kind of spiritual entity in a lucid dream. So they said actually you should stick to 1 and 5 hours or multiples of that. So I combined that with a quad core technique that is known by the polyphasic sleeping community. You see the core period is only 3 hours, wake back to bed 1.5 hours, and then the 2-day sleep periods. Problem? I don't want to get up after only 3 hours. I always had trouble getting up at 5 o'clock. It's just too short. I seem to need my 5.5 hours. Other problem, that day sleep period starting at 9:30, I always had trouble falling asleep there. I just wasn't tired enough. 9:30, it's not my time of sleeping. I usually don't. I am a night dragon. It's sometimes I skipped it more than once, and that set me in sleep deprivation and whatnot. So, and third problem, these 2-day sleep times, they don't really fit into my daily routine. Yeah, so daily life, it was hard to fit in. Okay, so I didn't continue this. I gave it up. Today I'm back to the biphasic pattern, which works quite well. I might need to increase the wake back to bed wake time, but we'll see. So you see, even after a year, there's lots of experimentation. Coming to frequency, last time I showed this slide. Each bar in this graph is a dream. And yeah, the blue ones are wilds, the orange ones are dials. And you see, I had quite a fulminant start at the beginning of January. But as soon as I got back to office, the frequency dropped. That was quite frustrating. So how did it go on? Lucid dream frequency, that is the name of the slide. I just explain the graphic because it's a bit different. You can see on the x-axis, there's just the months of the year. And on the y-axis, there is wilds and dials. Then there is BTD, that is breakthrough dream. What is that? Breakthrough dream. It's a dream that is very, very intense. It can be lucid or not, but it carries a very important message. Well, at least it feels very important. And it is very intense. You really feel like, oh, I learned something in that one. There's something happened there. That's the breakthrough dream for me. And then there is notable non-lucid dreams. Those carry some kind of important message, but it's not as prominent as a breakthrough dream. So I've written them down as well. So this one was the status at the Spring Summit. I had well over 14 lucid dreams per month. So how did it go on? There you have the full year. The average has gone a bit down. I got 11.8 lucid dreams per month. But yeah, well, there's actually a couple of things that we can observe here. First of all, the average. Okay, 11.8 lucid dreams per month. That's about three per week. I don't think it's too many, but Wagner, and that guy is a 30 years plus lucid dream experiencer, so that's a vast experience. He reports that he has about 2 to 5 lucid dreams per month. So with my 11.8, I'm really outperforming that. But the reason is, or my ace up the sleeve are the wilds. You can see in the chart that I'm having much more wilds than dials. If I take the dials and calculate the average, I'm right in the interval that Wagner has. Yeah, so this is really my ace up the sleeve. Wilds, on the other side, they seem to come in batches. I mean, look at it. There's periods where I have wilds, a lot of them, practically each other night. And then there is periods where I don't seem to get any. Yeah. So that's what I said. Sometimes I'm just almost certain to willfully get lucid when I sleep in the daytime phase, and other times there just doesn't seem to be a way. I actually discovered a new wild technique recently. I'll explain it later because that relates to something else. For the dials, there are considerable gaps as well. You can see that during the summer there were months or maybe even 5 or 6 weeks without any dialed, and that is pretty frustrating. Yeah, I don't know why. It seems to be normal. The breakthrough dreams and the notable non-lucid dreams, they kind of seem to increase in frequency here in the last half of the year, but we'll come back to that. Next, actually, this is the Tigerfly pattern, and this one, the one with the naps. I had an above average number of lucid dreams, but it's not significant. If you take a look at other periods during the summer, you get a similar number. So I don't think that it makes a big difference. Far from that, you can see there's a lot of randomness. Things are not really controllable as it seems. And even Wagner is unsure about the exact circumstances that hinder or benefit lucid dreams. There are some ideas, but it doesn't seem to be set. Okay, the dream durations. Well, I have to tell you that some of these dreams are only like felt 10 seconds or something, or maybe 20 seconds. Of course, I don't have a stopwatch when I'm dreaming. I don't look at the stopwatch. It's just an estimation, the duration, yeah? But on the chart, you can also see that there were some longer dials. You have to 100 seconds, 1 minute, and then going to 2 minutes or even 3 minutes. So it seems that they tend to get longer. And two more. September 24th, I did have a 30-minute one. And that was really astonishing. It also was a breakthrough dream. In that one, I met, just to tell that story, I met two teachers, entities who approached me apparently to teach me. And that is something that happens quite a lot. And I'm quite happy about it because it indicates that there is something in the subconscious that wants to support my action. And these entities, they showed me a couple of things. They told me that they were from an organization that would teach gifted souls or something like that. It sounded like kind of X-Men kind of thing, yeah. But that entity that approached me, he didn't look like Charles Xavier, but I googled him actually because I had the impression, hey, I know that guy, and I found out that it was Clint Eastwood. So I'm calling him Clint Eastwood now. So that's quite funny. Okay, and then there was another one. It happened recently. 45 minutes of wild in and out surfing. What is that? Well, wilds normally they happen for me in a kind of dive down and then wake up a bit and then dive down into the dream again and then wake up again. So it's a kind of sinusoidal curve, yeah, or in and out surfing, in and out diving. That's what I call it. And at that day, I was actually discovering a technique to improve that. When I was waking up a bit, I just started to imagine that I would stand up from my bed lucidly, yeah, with my astral body, so to say. And I just imagined that and imagined walking around in the room and then did that over and over again until I could actually do it. So that was kind of revelation, yeah. But I think I could repeat it so far. That's quite interesting. In terms of vividness, I don't have a chart, but I could confirm that all senses are present. For me, touch is easiest. Very common action is to reach down my spine and touch my dragon tail. And that is so cool. I can tell you, it feels completely real. I've also tested other sensations. I've intentionally created some soil, mud, and water to just try and experience how it feels. Just digging in the mud, walking through the water, it feels completely real. I could feel my wings, I could feel grass under my feet. Then the other senses, I'm always composing whole symphonies in there. Yeah, so there's definitely sound. Uh, Improving vision, that's also a question that came up. Can you switch on the light to improve vision? Yes, you can to some extent, but in my case, it doesn't really work. It's better to open your eyes in dream. I figured out that it doesn't happen on its own. Yeah, so just concentrate on your dream eyes and try to open them. Of course, you don't need to be afraid to wake up. I mean, if you wake up, then you just wake up. That's yeah. Then it didn't work, but it's worth a try. Yeah. So also opening my window blinds, that gave me a really colorful landscape one time. I also tried matching sound, vision, and touch. So I went to pet a purring cat, feeling the fur, hear the purring, and see the cat. Perfect. It's just like reality. Smell is also there. I conjured a cup of red wine and smelled that. Worked. You can feel warm sun, you can feel air breathing on your skin, but you can also feel pain. So you want to be a bit careful about what you're doing. You can feel dizziness, you can feel like falling or rising, which is great for flying. And then one last thing. Some people have this sensation of tickling feeling, like ants crawling under your skin when they hear vacuum cleaners or rain or hair dryers. It's called autonomous sensory meridian response, or ASMR. You can Google it. You can have YouTube videos that trigger that feeling. It's just 2 hours of hair dryer sound, yeah. And it just feels like a tingling sensation in somewhere in your body. For me, it's along the spine, and it propagates to other parts, to the limbs, and even to the head. I've had that since I was a child, and I can already also have it in lucid dreams. That's quite interesting. And actually, this seems to happen when it is also felt in the waking body. Yeah. So once I had that feeling in the lucid dream, and then I woke up and I noticed that I still had the feeling. Yeah. So that can happen. Okay. Coming to the contents. Well, problem. Yeah, I got well over 100 dreams, more or less documented, so we cannot take a close look at all the contents. But let me just drink something here. Okay. Voice. We need voice. Okay. Observation. Some dream activities and symbols just keep reoccurring. And obviously, they have a certain meaning. So I'm about to learn that meaning, such as to learn the language of the personal subconscious. And I think it's a very individual thing. You can look up dream interpretation in Google, and you will find, okay, what's the meaning of a train, for example. But normally they give quite a lot of interpretations, and you just have to find your individual meaning. Yeah, so I think that is possible by triangulating the symbols that reoccur in several dreams, and that's what I call actually compound analysis. One has to look at different dreams and a great number of dreams to learn the personal meaning of a symbol. Also, a symbol, I think symbols might have a meaning that depends on context. That's actually my feeling. Okay, so this one slide shows a couple of free occurring symbols. And let's go through them because I think it's quite important. There is, starting at the, there is basic actions and experiments, and actually I do them all the time. That means I just try out, can I transform into dragon? Can I change my skin color? Can I grow scales? Can I walk around, fly, touch, smell, taste, create matter, change the dream scene and whatnot? That's basic. I've put own house in the back because that is another symbol that occurs a lot and it's pretty basic. To me, being in my own house or my old parents' house, that is just, it just seems to mean I am in a safe space. I am in my own mental region. Yeah. And oftentimes things start happening from there. Yeah. It's a kind of home base. Okay, then we have military, fighting and threats. That is combat vessels, tanks, military parades, war scenes, fights, general threats, also technology. For some reason, technology often appears as a threat in my dreams. I don't know why. It happens a lot. Maybe it's because I need to fight my way through. Maybe it's lurking traumas, past memories. I have no idea. That's something I have to figure out. Next, we have education at a school, a classroom, university, or somewhere where there are many kids around. That can also happen. That symbol actually indicates that the dream contains an important learning. I think that's quite straightforward. Next, we have advice and initiation. That means that there are entities who give advice either for my waking life or spiritual development, or sometimes they perform some kind of initiation ritual, kind of spiritual ritual. And also sometimes I speak to them over a phone, actually phone-like device I find in my room when I'm walking around lucidly. That is sometimes present. Next one is transit, loss of baggage or friends during a travel. And that happens quite a lot. And it seems to relate to diving into the unconscious. Okay. Next is finding comrades in arms. That means that I find entities who help me. But there's actually four different types of dream entities. The first type doesn't really have a clue about what I'm doing. Yeah, so they're pretty dull entities. Yeah, you ask them about dragons and they just tell you, oh, dragons, never heard of that. Yeah, that doesn't interest me. Okay, so not too helpful. Then there are entities that are cooperative and try their best to help you when asked. So they try to, well, I've heard about dragons. I think they're over there, yeah, but I'm not sure. Okay. Then there are entities who deliberately approach me because they want to help me or teach me. Yeah, well, that's like Clint Eastwood. And then rarely there are some who want to stop me. I usually tend to accept the ones who offer help and accept that help and be thankful about it. And I usually negotiate with the ones who want to stop me. Negotiation usually does the trick. You can come to some kind of agreement, but well, sometimes I just obliterate them. I mean, it's not the best way to do. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, you should be kind actually to dream entities. It's just like real life. Speaking of removing barriers, that's the next one. Barriers can be physical. Yeah, you need to break out somewhere. Actually, that leads already to the next one, escaping. You might need to break free from something, getting out of a maze or hatching from an egg, and so on. Barriers can also be emotional. That means you might have to overcome fear or some kind of eerie feeling, uncomfortable feeling. Yeah, that happens a lot. And then lastly, there is revealing, resolution, and unlocking. That refers to an information that is revealed or a direct outcome of a negotiation, integration of problematic aspects, or unlocking of a door. Now, you see that I marked some of these in blue. And I also did so in the next chart, which actually shows a heat map of those dream contents. You can see how often they occurred. Each bar again is a dream, and actually it shows the whole year again. I left out the months down there. So on the x-axis there should be the months again. Yeah, the basic stuff actually you see it happens all the time. Military is distributed quite evenly, but the blue things are the 8 signs or actions that I've highlighted, and you see they are much rarer. And now, of course, the question is, why did I highlight them? Actually, this heat map, it does show not as much as I would like to show it. Yeah, but the thing is, while I compiled it, I realized something, and that is in the breakthrough dreams, the ones that are really, really important and carry a really important message. The 8 dream signs I highlighted, at least 4 of them, or even more, appear in breakthrough dreams. And I did realize that a breakthrough dream seems to follow a pattern, as if it were a screenplay or a breakthrough dream. And this is it. I mean, this might be generalizable. I would be thrilled to hear people who report, hey, I get something like that already. So let's just take a look. Breakthrough dream screenplay, as it goes from here. What happens first, quite often, is what I call an attention catcher. That means you have an action scene, or you have a really nice story you really find interesting and you really love to look at, and it just somehow catches your whole attention 100%. You might become lucid by that or not. Yeah. Then there is oftentimes a kind of barrier removal. Yeah, whatever. Then what follows often is a kind of transit. To me, that is often a train or an elevator going haywire, going up way too fast, way too far, or down again, down into the deepest cellar, actually, where building doesn't have a cellar, yeah, but it goes down and down, and you arrive somewhere down there. And then after you arrive at this new place, so you can see there is usually a scene change. Often the scene changes towards a learning place or a transit place or sometimes a meeting place. And if you arrive there, there's sometimes a kind of introduction. So in this one dream, I was in an elevator, and it went up way too fast, way too far. And when I stepped out of it, I was standing on a platform, and it faced to a kind of machine room, meeting place, I don't know, quite big. And I was just standing there quite prominent. And I had the impression that I should introduce myself. So I said, here stands Amber, but actually I used my real Draconic name, that which I never use in waking reality because it's a secret. So I said, here stands name, Western Guardian Dragon. And I think I said something along the lines, at your service or something like that. And then I got an answer from this machine room. Yeah, so that's introduction. Okay. These stages might be assisted by helpers. You might have a friend traveling with you or multiple ones. The barrier, it might be some entity that is fearful and that you need to overcome. Yeah, that can happen. So what follows next is the core of the whole thing. You can get into a discussion with dream entities. You can get into a kind of assessment situation such that people judge you in some way. This is usually quite a positive thing, yeah. Or you can do some negotiation with dream entities, and that usually leads to some kind of solution, reveal of information, or an initiation ritual. And then you can either directly wake up, or you think, okay, this is it. I'll be waking up now. And then something else is slammed right at your face as a kind of post-credit scene, like in the Marvel movies, where you always keep sitting until the credits are done, and then some kind of outlook or information or additional thing is given. That can also happen. Yeah. Okay, that is the screenplay. Just one example to make it a bit more concrete. This one is actually the dream I'll be explaining that gave the panel its name. Okay, attention catcher. Well, this one, it started in my own house, in the living room, and an old friend was there, and suddenly he's gone. I go into the garden, and it turns out the garden is not how it's supposed to be, but it's a beach. And there are some couple of people around having fun at the beach, yeah. So that catched my attention, and I got lucid. Visuals were very vivid in this one. I gave it an 8 out of 10, actually. Sometimes I give points to how vivid the experience is. So there we have attention catcher. Next, some kind of sinister force seems to appear, and it casts a shadow on the beach, and everybody is frightened, and it gets cold, and people and myself, we flee from that scene towards the neighboring house. So barrier. Me, at some point I heard a voice, potentially malicious entity, and the voice said, "You need to follow me if you want to find answers." Strikes you down. Actually, question is it a trap? Should I really follow that entity? Barrier. You need to overcome that fear. I followed. Then what happened was a classic train ride. Actually, until the very final goal of the train. So I arrived at a dead end train station. Yeah, so no way to go any further. It was some kind of machine room, and I took extra time to make sure that I got my baggage from the train. So that is actually the loss of baggage symbol somewhere. And I proceeded to a big train station. Yeah, and there we got it, meeting place. Many people there, many doors that seem to lead to alternate realities, obviously, other dimensions, other places. I opened one or two doors, and I see there are big halls behind that, and another train station behind the door. So obviously it was a transition place for entities that somehow travel to the subconscious, something. Yeah. There were also aliens there. Actually, some have had trouble with the doors. Some doors were broken and stuff. And I see a big bunch of people, walking towards one of the doors. And amongst them, I spot a friend from university. Normally, that would have needed an introduction, but of course, we know each other. So actually, we didn't need to introduce ourselves. Now, this guy is maybe the most intelligent person I've ever met. Very reliable, super keen in mathematics, algorithms, IT stuff, technological stuff, extremely rational, careful. His statements always on spot. He really thinks before he talks. Yeah. So always on the spot statements. So I ask him, "Who are you?" And I have in mind not what is your name, because I know the name. I know who you are, but I have in mind, what do you represent? And he says something about math and algorithms and IT stuff, and I actually didn't understand that. Again, this is a bit of a mystery. So next I ask him, "Who am I?" Because that's what I want to find out. And he says, "You are black." And then he thinks a little while, and he says, "You send light from outer space. And we are happy to discuss our algorithms with you or something like that, yeah? But that you send light from outer space and you are black, that was the revealed information, and because that was what kept sticking, yeah? And gave the panel its name. There was another scene after that one, but we'll just leave it out. So you see that oftentimes the information that is revealed is highly symbolic and it needs interpretation. Given the entity who gave that information and the properties that this guy represents, the whole setting and additional dreams, my interpretation is as follows. I am black, you are black, that means I lie in the dark. I need to be illuminated. There is something to be brought to light. I need to be enlightened somehow. And then you send light from outer space. I think he means there is a part of myself in somewhere in the unconscious, some kind of remote neutron star that shines a light onto me, that tries to illuminate that which needs to be illuminated or provides a guiding light or something like that. And that is actually a quite motivating thought. Yeah, it's not really world shaking, yeah, but I think it's quite interesting. Okay. Here's another example, and I won't explain it fully because we're running out of time. It's just to show you that it can look different. This breakthrough dream, it started right with the transit. Yeah, I was already aware. There were multiple helpers along the travel. Barrier removal happened after the transit, so you can see that things might get shifted around a bit. The scene changed to a learning place. Actually, yeah, that was a university. There was a negotiation about apparently a trauma experience that I wanted to carefully investigate, and there were entities who wanted to save me from that. So I went into some negotiations, and we agreed that we would continue to try and carefully work it out. And this one also had a post-credit scene. That was a door opening. Yeah, somebody opened a hidden compartment. I won't go into details that much because it needs too much explanation. But well, that happened. Okay, one more thing about breakthrough dreams. Coming back to the heat map, it somehow looks like the breakthrough dream symbols would increase in frequency in the last half of the year, and also the breakthrough dreams did. So I was just wondering, can I visualize that a bit better? And I just asked myself, what if we just added up the numbers of the symbols by month and display that as a graph? And this is the result. So this is the breakthrough dream symbol occurrence per lucid dream by months. I actually broke it down to the amount of lucid dreams I had in that month. So, I mean, if you look at the y-axis, one symbol per lucid dream, it's just what it says. I think it's pretty straightforward. But it's just for the breakthrough symbols. And to see now, yeah, well, in the last half of the year, they get the highest values. Yeah. So I don't really know if it's a solid trend, but I do have the impression that I'm making some progress when it comes to learning stuff and when it comes to revealing and negotiating. So that it could be a trend. I mean, need to figure it out somehow. Okay, now final slide. What is the big idea? The main lessons so far. How did we traverse outer space? Well, obviously I'm on a journey. It feels a bit like flying through space or maybe sitting in a spaceship. And first of all, I think I need to learn the basics. Yeah. For example, I still have trouble doing a realistic full body dragon transformation. It's no surprise because the brain tries to perform the action. Yeah, and for some reason the brain doesn't know how to grow scales or change the skin color. Yeah, so it's actually natural that it doesn't work easily. I also found that I need to work on my emotion, because when I get too excited in a lucid dream, that breaks lucidity and I wake up. That's also mentioned by Wagner. It's normal. Also, I figured out it is possible to forget lucid dreams. Yeah, you won't believe it, but just like you can forget any other dream, you can forget that you were lucid. Yeah, and I was actually thunderstruck when I found out. Yeah, yeah, um, yeah, quite remarkable. And also, I found out that you can have bad or nightmarish experiences. They are rare for me, but they can happen. Yeah, and that's obviously a very terrifying feeling. You stand up from your bed lucid, you go downstairs, and you see some terrifying thing. Yeah. Well, I can take it. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So next thing, I met some entities. Some were aliens, some looked more humanoid. They tell me that there is many things I don't understand yet. Some say that I got some things completely wrong and they have to work on it. And some symbols are completely mysterious. Technology. Uh, Technology seems to be eerie and fearsome, but on the other hand, it seems to be a part of myself, because I met some aliens who told me about my species and they were talking about technology all the time. Uh, I need to figure that out. I meet comrades in arms. Some entities need to be persuaded to help me. You know? Some seem to be on their own journey through space, and maybe they will join, maybe not. But actually, it just feels like I'm forging a task force, forging a bond of people who want to look for that one single dragon planet somewhere in outer space. And that's a very motivating thing. Then there are teachers. Some people really want to teach me, very supportive. They tell me that I need to learn the basics first. Actually, they tell me that I shouldn't worry too much about Dragon right now. The key is consistency and don't give up. That's what they are telling. Then I meet barriers. Sometimes I jump over them, others I just fly around, some I just obliterate. It's like in real life. Doors are getting opened. That only happened once so far. I don't know what's behind, yeah, but I'm curious. I'll find out. So the ultimate goal is to find that neutron star that shines light and that's doing draconic stuff. Dragons may be there, or whatever might be there. Little outlook. Let me just switch on the headphone again. Little outlook. Three things. I'm trying to learn self-hypnosis at the moment. But it's an online course. It's another way of actually tackling the subconscious. Also, I've learned that there is a new, pretty new lucid dreaming initiation technique. It's called senses-initiated lucid dreaming. It's obviously pretty potential, so I'm trying this out right now. And then there's the herb, which was recommended. I only know the German name, Beifuß. It's a kind of tea you can drink, and then lucid dreams might happen more often. I'll try that out as well. And then there is also virtual reality. I've talked about it in the last summit already. I would like to try if virtual reality, being a dragon in VR chat, actually helps being a dragon in lucid dreaming. So I've bought a gaming laptop. I've bought a Pico 4 headset, used. It's all used, but decent condition. I've also got the dragon avatar from TokyoZilla, a little adorable blue dragon with wings and tail and facial expressions and all that. Great thing. I downloaded Unity, downloaded VR Chat, Steam, whatnot, gigabytes of stuff. So I'm all set, but obviously I need to do some gaming. And there we have the problem. Didn't find the time yet. And the stupid thing is that the stupid VR chat won't allow me to use the avatar unless I go from guest to user level. And in order to get there, I need to play for a couple of hours using another avatar. Bummer. Well, okay, I'll somehow manage quite soon, hopefully. If any of you knows a good VR chat room that is safe and where you can make friends and just is not too crowded and is open to fairies and dragons, just yeah, pop it out. Give me a note, send me a DM or pop it in the chat. I'll appreciate. I don't know any places yet, actually. Good. So this will definitely continue, and yeah, hopefully I can give you an update next time. So we're done. Okay, now this is the time to look at the chat, and I can also see Heart of Frost is on the stage. I don't know if you want to say something, but anyone who wants to join the stage, please do so. I'm open for discussion. And apart from that, I will look at the
Yeah,
chat.
I'm on the stage. Sorry, I was muted this entire time. I
Oh, yeah.
think some of the people moderating are just on the stage sometimes, just in case something goes wrong. But I just found it funny that you started mentioning VR chat as I'm suffering through a paper on it, on how to improve it actually. So if I weren't already overdosing on primary research of people telling me their experience with it, I would say, yeah, I could totally have you in for an interview if you've, I don't know, had a lot of experience with VR. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, the only thing I wanted to add was I've heard, and this is not specifically in relation to lucid dreaming, but I've heard about the case of this one autistic guy that has used VR to basically cure a lot of his personal life trauma. And he slept in VR because he couldn't sleep in his own bed anymore. So that's something really interesting. If I happen to find the link to that again and you're interested, I could forward that to you. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, sure. Always appreciate it. There are scientific papers that research the effects of VR to different things, amongst them dreaming. And I'm not sure if there are papers that research VR effects on lucid dreaming. I think there is at least one. So I expect that there will be some effect. Okay. I'm just taking a look at the chat. Oh, some questions are coming up. Yeah, I should actually have told people to ask questions at the end of the panel because I probably cannot scroll up all the way and search for questions. There was one VR chat group recommended. I'm not in any. Okay, two questions from Alkur. Do you have any experiences with Makwati? Ah, yeah, that was the name of this herb. It seems to help with increasing vividness of dreams and leading to lucidity. No, I didn't try it. So thanks again for that hint. I will definitely try it. And then a lot of my lucid dreams seem to turn into lucid nightmares. Oh, bummer. Oftentimes I seem to impulsively make that decision. I do have anxiety, which I'm pretty confident has an effect. Maybe. I can only tell that Wagner says if you are experiencing fearful things or nightmarish things in lucid dreams, it's recommended to approach them with a kind of loving kindness attitude. Yeah, just let's see, you meet a monster. And you just approach that monster like, hey, what is your problem? I want to help you. What do you represent? What do you want to tell me? I mean, if they fight you or if it's totally terrifying, that is difficult. Yeah. I actually I had some nightmarish things, and what I've seen was so terrifying that something in me screamed, and I just woke up. Next time I will just ask that thing, "Hey, what do you represent?" Yeah, and then usually you can integrate it. But yeah, it's quite hard. Okay, let's see what else we have. Hypnosis. Yeah, I'm also curious about it. I do it since a couple of days only, so there are no effects so far, but you need to do it for a while. It's recommended to do it at least, I think, and then it might expect some effects. Um, oh, there's somebody on the stage. Sorry.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things on your slideshow.
Hmm?
There's a few things that I find interesting. So the like the more that you split apart your sleep, like each one is loose. Like this tigerfly thing here, the
Yeah.
the periods here, like that are like 1.5 hours, they're all lucid, and then the quad core is similar. One thing I found this interesting is that like most of my dreams are lucid, but at the same time, I never get standard sleep. At least, like it's never continuous 8 hours. I always wake up like every
Hmm?
1 to 3 hours in my sleep. Um, then I just go back to sleep after that. And I'm wondering if is that why most of my dreams are lucid? Because I keep waking up and never having like constant sleep.
I would call that a very considerable possibility. It's possibly yes. Yeah. I didn't actually read anything about it, but um, apparently it happens to me too. So I usually never have even only 4 hours constant sleep. Yeah, I will wake up at least once. And that somehow raises your awareness. So I would say it's beneficial for lucid dreams, yes.
And another thing that I'm wondering is on here, it says how in the hypnagogic state, that is where you have brief dreamlets and out of body experiences. But for some reason with me, um, all of the dreamlets and out of body experiences that I've had were hypnopompic, like on like
Mhm.
while I was waking up. And that's also around the same time I would get sleep paralysis as well. Um, So, what does that mean? Why is it hypnopompic for me?
I don't think it means something specific. It's to be expected. I think it's quite normal. I didn't mention it here because it doesn't happen to me. And also about that hypnagogic state, I'm not sure if those are classified to be lucid dreams or if there is another effect, because actually this comes from Laberg. Laberg says that in NRAM1 hypnagogic state you can have dreamlets, but I don't know if that is what's really happening during the day sleep phases of mine.
For me, most of the things I get have an element of like, um, like whenever I have like a regular dream, I always have some element of lucidity. Like, I'm always aware of it. I can always exert some amount of control, like I could wind back time or just fly or something, or summon an object, whatever. Um, and whenever I get sleep paralysis, I also have a kind of lucidity. I mean, this one is a bit different because I don't know any of you guys have had chronic sleep paralysis before, but whenever I get it, like there's like all of the sensations that I get, and I do have a bit of control to change the sensations into different ones. Although sometimes there is like an entity that resists me trying to will it to change, and then it just increases the pain or something. And it's like this weird psychic battle. I don't know what that's about, but um and then in out of body experiences, those ones are different. Like I associate them a little with sleep paralysis because it happens around the same time. And like whatever the circumstance that it happens, it's a similar one, but it's different in the sense that I mean, my body is paralyzed because it's asleep, but I can just walk out of my body. Like I'm not trapped in it. And I could just walk around in my house. Um, and sometimes, like, I can phase through walls and stuff, and then sometimes I can fly. And whenever I do that, like, I can go into the sky or something. Um, and whenever I do, I get like a butterfly feeling, which I find really interesting because that only happens like in the out of body stuff. It doesn't happen in my regular dreams. Like if I fly in a normal lucid dream, I don't feel anything.
Do you also meet dream entities in those?
Yeah, this is another thing I find interesting. Like your dream entities, they always speak, right? Or a lot of them tend to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, none of the entities like talk. Like there's really only this main one, which is like kind of pretty aggressive towards me, if I'm going to be honest. Um, like the entity likes to give me sensations of pain or being crushed, or likes to fling me at black holes or whatever. Um, but it never spoke to me before. It was just kind of there. And like it does communicate, but usually through sending me emotions or feelings or sending me
Mm.
to places like space usually. Um, but yeah, it's never talked. The only things that talk in my dreams are like in regular dreams. And there's like people, they're usually just humans, and usually people I know are just fictional people. But I've never encountered an entity that could talk to me before.
Did you ask them a question?
I mean, usually I'm not able to talk either.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
I ca-
oh, sorry. Like I can't talk to it in English per se. I guess I could try to think stuff in my head, but like, I mean, sometimes, like, actually, I have no idea if it can even tell what I'm thinking, but I can kind of like the same type of will that I use to do things lucidly. Like I can kind of put that onto the entity. Um, And it does read that because it always responds to it. Like if it's crushing my chest per se, and I try to will it to stop doing that, like it knows it, and then it responds by, well, increasing the crushing sensation. But like, so it can feel my lucidity and respond to it. And that's really the only way I've been able to like communicate per se to it. I've never really been able to talk to it in any way other than that.
Okay, fascinating. So too much I can add to that actually.
What was that?
Well, did you want to say something else? Because I see that Cyrenex is waiting.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to talk about it to see if you had anything to comment about my experiences.
Not too much, I'm afraid. I would just like, I would try to communicate with the entities in any possible way. Yeah. So if they can talk, if you can't talk, maybe some kind of exchanging images or kind of telepathic stuff. It's maybe what I would be trying. Yeah.
Yeah, that is something I could explore. I guess the issue is, like, nowadays it doesn't happen as often. Like, I don't get sleep paralysis or out-of-body experiences often. But I think that's just because of the way I'm sleeping. I'm just kind of following my really weird non-24-hour circadian rhythm. But if I try to sleep in a different way, then I'll probably start getting them again.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all I
Okay.
wanted to say.
Great. Thanks. Let's see. Indidi also joined, but I think Cyrenax was there first, so did it.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thank you for delving into this topic. That's something I've really always been more curious about, especially just with sleep in general and trying to get more of an understanding behind not only just, dreams, lucid dreams, the whole nine yards. One thing that I've kind of learned, but also been told is you dream based off what you see, like, physically in front of you, what you experience in your life, whether it be things you do, places you go, or things you've been involved in. And 9 times out of 10, when I do remember a dream, it's something relating to that. Just based off like your knowledge and your experience so far, what you excuse me, what you've explained, is that solely the case, or is there a way you can kind of branch out to, I guess that would hence asking on how to become more lucid in a dream, but to kind of determine what you want to dream, like want to dream about, I guess, if that makes sense. Because it drives me crazy. I've heard a lot of different theories behind, do this, this, and that before you sleep, put your mindset into this. And it's like, yes, I'll try it and I'll do it, but then it's like it'll be a recurring dream from before, or it'll be something like something small. Like the other day, I was in the car and I dreamt about my car breaking last night. Like, and it's like it's not what I want to dream about. But do
Mhm.
you know in any way, is there a way to deter from that path to where you can kind of control what the dream might be about, as opposed to how they've been for me, where they're just kind of replaying what I've lived and seen throughout the day, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Coming back to Wagner, and actually, again, this guy has 30 years experience. He says, as I've said, no sailor controls the sea. Yeah, so it seems
Right.
that you cannot deliberately control what you are dreaming about. There is something like dream induction techniques. Yeah, so many people try it, but it would seem that there is not a solution that works 100%. I mean, okay, in some cases it might work, but generally, I think it unfortunately it can't be done because
Okay. I mean,
dreams
I
are
kind of
always
feel
yeah, dreams are always governed by the subconscious, and you just have limited possibilities in that regard.
for sure, for sure. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to, because I was thinking about that, but I'm naive and stubborn. I'm like, I want to know. There's got to be a way.
No,
But
that's hey, actually it would be great if that worked.
for sure. Well,
Okay,
thank you. That's
thanks.
all I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Thanks. And now the great master, Bela. Ah, the dream interpretation master. Oh, Bela, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, don't call me like that. It's always so embarrassing. So, but
Technology.
yeah. First of all, again, thanks for that super interesting panel. It was like really mind-opening, and actually, I can relate to a lot of the concepts. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I can relate to a lot of the concepts actually, and what I wanted to, ask you, or maybe get your opinion on that, is that I also experienced, of course, not lucidity, not in as many cases as you have, but I would say, if I recall it correctly, I have been to the let's say in quote unquote 3 stages, or at least I can say for me that I have experienced 3 stages of lucidity. That's first the lucidity inside a dream. It's when I'm in a random place and getting lucid and say it's a dream and can manipulate and doing stuff. Then the second one is getting lucid in my home, in my room, for example. That is what you've called what's probably closest to an out of body experience or an astral travel experience. I guess that's what I was recently discussing in the Spire. I think you've read it. And the third one is actually also sleep paralysis. And that kind of sucks. So I totally get Val on that. So sleep paralysis is like the out of body experience without the out of body experience, but the locked inside the body experience, and you cannot do anything. And you still have a somehow overlapped, or at least for me, it is that way, somehow kind of overlapping realities. So you kind of experience that you are currently in bed and lying and sleeping. But you still have like this, other entities or something that is basically merged with that reality you see there. And that is actually, I think it's down to the part that you cannot do something and have to endure. That's what's making it so uncomfortable. So the question basically here for me is looking at that 3 stages. How would you classify them? I mean, and in reference to the literature that you read.
Classify could mean several things. Let's see what I can put together. The literature, what the literature means by lucid dreams is actually the first of the 3 you mentioned. Yeah. Happening in the REM phase. So actually, it cannot happen in the hypnagogic state unless you have sleep onset REM. Yeah. So that somehow doesn't seem to make sense. But what we described first is the classic lucid dream. The second one, I don't know what effect it is. It could be that it is going out of body in a trance state, because that is what the hypnagogic state is the state of trance, somewhere between the waking and the dreaming state. They explained about it in the hypnosis online course I'm taking. So maybe it's not a lucid dream, but just more like a kind of astral travel. And I just don't know. It's still a bit of a mystery. That thing is, I don't have a means of checking if I'm in REM phase. Yeah, if this were a sleep lab, you could measure the eye movement or measure the brain waves and deduct if it was a REM state or not. Obviously, I cannot do that. So I'm not sure what's happening. And then the last of the 3 you mentioned, the sleep paralysis state. I never had any of those. I can imagine that it's really, really terrifying. I mean, you cannot move, you lie there, you see things, and you see your room at the same time. Ooh, I would actually, yeah, well, it's an effect that also happens in trance, so to say. So I would say it seems to be pretty close to the out-of-body experience. That is why my first reaction would be to try and turn it into an out-of-body experience, but I have no idea how that could work. Maybe if you're in that state, you cannot move. Maybe you try to imagine that you're moving. Maybe that does something, or maybe I mean, you have two directions you can go. You can wake up more, or you can fall asleep more. Maybe falling asleep more would do the trick. I can somehow, if I'm in that hypnagogic state, the second of yours, I can to some extent control if I want to wake up or if I want to dive down deeper into the sleep, into the dream. I think this can be trained. If you were able to do that while being sleep paralyzed, it might turn the paralysis into an OBE. That's what I would try.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
However, the problem is that the possibilities to train are limited because I mean, this doesn't happen all the time, does it?
Yeah, that's the point. And
Yeah.
usually, it's like what you said, you get either excited or you have like a huge, wave of different kind of emotions because, as you probably know, like the limbic system is usually more active in sleep stages, and that means ultimately your experience emotions and sensations more vivid, at least. At least that is for me the case, and yeah, that's usually the rush of excitement that either wakes me up or gets me, in this uncomfortable state, and then it's probably, I would say, in a way similar of having like a bad trip, if you would name it that way, so that you are having like bad experience, and just by thinking about it, you cannot really get out. No, it's like when you're on a drug, and even though you know you're on a drug, it won't hinder the effects of the drug. So it has to be some sort of different alternate approach to it.
Well, I think for some extent it can be trained, but it takes time. That's the thing.
Can I talk about this?
Sure.
Right, so at least from all of my experience of having chronic sleep paralysis, yeah, it definitely is something that can be trained. Like the more that you get it, the more you learn how to get out of it when you want to. I have a lot of different methods. I switch between them because sometimes one doesn't work, sometimes another one works. Depending on, like, I mean, it just changes. But the one that Amber was talking about of falling back to sleep, that one is something you can do. I mean, it doesn't always work for me. Sometimes it does work. I mean, you'll know if it works or not because if you can fall asleep, you'll just fall back asleep. And then you just go back into dreaming like normal. At least that's what's happened with me. Like I would have the paralysis, but I would still be sleepy, and then I just kind of fall back asleep and go into like a regular dream. Another thing that can work is trying to move your body. That one, it does not go in, at least for me, it doesn't go into an out of body experience. Instead, it just makes you wake up. So like if I try to move my body, there's a point where it does feel like I'm moving it, and then I just wake up, and then I just move my body in real life. And as for trying to turn it into an out of body experience, I have noticed that they are really similar. Like there's the same element of your body being asleep, but your mind awake. The major difference is being you're trapped in your body in paralysis, and out of body when you can just move out of it. But there are a few instances where I have managed to kind of turn it into an out of body experience. This one is a lot more rare though, because it's only in the beginning of it. Like when I just go into paralysis, and it's like, I guess it feels like a bit of an in between where I'm like sort of trapped in my body, but not really. Then I can kind of just keep pushing out, and then I leave it. But most of the time, it's pretty hard, like set in stone. Like I'm just trapped in my body, and I can't turn it into an out of body experience as much as I try. Always, like when it does happen, it feels like something, or it's like whatever is trapping you there, it just was a little bit loose, like the chains were loose or whatever you want to think of it. But yeah, it works pretty rarely, but you can do it. And then there are a few other methods that I have for getting out of sleep paralysis. One of them is just focusing on opening my actual physical eyes, or just in some way waking up my physical body, because to me at least, it does kind of feel like my mind woke up, but my body is still asleep, and I just gotta wake up my body somehow, and just will it to wake up. And then if that doesn't work, there's just the other ones of going back to sleep, or some this kind of depends. Sometimes I can breathe, sometimes I can't breathe. I don't know why that is. I don't think I'm actually breathing. It might just be a hallucination of me breathing. But if I do get the hallucination of me breathing, if I do it rapidly, sometimes that wakes me up too. But that also makes me wake up with a fast heartbeat, which is interesting. I don't really know if I'm actually breathing in real life or not. No one's ever confirmed that because I've never had anyone around me. And then, what other methods did I have to escape sleep paralysis? I mean, most of the times where I tried to move my body, it was mostly just kicking up my legs. Because for some reason, my legs, my non-existent, not real legs, are more prone to being moved for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm not sure if there's any other methods I have.
Yeah, it's thank you at first, and that's I can share some of your experiences definitely. For example, the thing with the breathing, that usually works, but I can't do anything else, like not moving, not screaming or talking. It's like just like the automated reflexes, like breathing, that works, and everything else basically
Yeah.
won't work. As from the biological side, it can be, of course, that what feels to you not breathing is actually that you have a very slow breathing rhythm. And if you would probably measure the time span where you in that, when you or I or we are in that paralysis state, it's probably like seconds at most, but it feels way longer because it's, yeah, kind of eerie and sometimes terrifying feeling. So, and that combined with the slow breathing rhythm you have during sleep, I guess that can be the case. But because we basically are both here and we didn't suffocate, so I guess breathing should work. But it feels like it won't work. It's just another instance of fear added to that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
with
Go
on.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I can understand why that is, because like usually I don't use breathing that often, because it's usually a last resort. Because sometimes I do end up in your scenario where I can't move anything else, and the only thing I can do is breathe. So then I just use that because it's the only thing. So it's just a bit interesting how when you're not able to do anything, that's the one thing that you can do, which I find interesting.
Yeah, again, from the at least what I read from the biological side, it's down that the basically nerves are being not stimulated so that you don't live out the dream. So what happens when you don't have sleep paralysis and you dream, you can have like that what's sleep wanderers, for example, that just walking through the rooms while being asleep. And to prevent that, actually, like again from the biological side, it should be a disconnect there. But of course, the brain should not disconnect like the life function. So, for example, the heartbeat is not put off basically, or breathing is not put off. So I guess that is it's important that this works, right? But like moving a limb is not that important, although we all wish to do that in that state. I mean, I don't wish that to anyone. It's at least we have very much experience with that. At least the times where I had it, it was very uncomfortable. But yeah, that's my personal experience here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Want to add something?
I was just going to say, wait, what was I going to say? Kind of forgot. Uh, oh, oh yeah, oh yeah, I was going to mention, I found this a bit funny, but like I've had sleep paralysis so many times, and at first I always thought that the room was like I was actually seeing my room for some reason because it was just my room. It wasn't until much later that I realized that it's a hallucination because how am I even seeing my room if my eyes are closed in real life? And it took me a while to realize that because it kind of just happened when apparently I was having like I used to like it was something like in the hallucination my door was open, but then when I woke up the door was closed, and then I realized, oh, it's not actually me looking at my actual room. It's just a hallucination of my room.
Exactly the same thing. I also had that state, and the door to my room was open, and then I looked at it and I thought like I definitely closed it, and then I knew that like even I'm lucid in those stages. So it's like okay, that's sleep paralysis state, but still it's you always have that fear that someone is entering the room while you're in that state. That's like it's not nice.
Yeah, yeah, I mean from early on, because like I had like when I was a teenager, I would get it nearly every other day to at least 3 times a week. And so I had to pretty early on convince myself that this is not like an entity entering my room. This is an entity that's already in my head in the first place. Because like I've met other people with chronic sleep paralysis, and some of them like have this belief that it's like some kind of demon or something, and those people are always a lot more traumatized than I am. And it's not great to be thinking that you're being possessed by a demon if it happens so often. Like I've had to really convince myself that this is just my own head messing with me because it happens so often that I wouldn't really be able to cope if I did believe it was someone invading me or something.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yes.
Okay, yeah, we need to be aware that the next panel will start in 20 minutes. I don't want to break you, but I guess we should come to an end slowly.
Yeah, Alkura, I think Alkura wanted to add something to this. No, again?
I don't know.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Apologies. I just wanted to very quickly add something regarding the sleep paralysis matter. I experience it fairly frequently myself, and the way I learned to cope with it was to treat it as sort of a lobby or standby state. So my method of pretty much shaking myself out of sleep paralysis is actually by flexing my chest muscles and also reassuring myself that I'm definitely still breathing even if it doesn't feel like it. But failing that, I just let sleep take over, and I was pretty much wondering if this was an option that was commonly accepted.
Oh, going back to sleep is definitely something I've done a lot when I'm able to do it. And for the chest muscles, that's interesting. I mean, I guess it will work. I usually use my leg muscles for some reason, but either way, it's like you're trying to activate a muscle.
Precisely. Because previously I have tried, arm muscles, leg muscles, like even individual fingers or toes, but I feel like the chest muscle is almost in a symbolic way is a lot more powerful I mean, it is effectively the trunk of the body, so trying to force that muscle into activity, I feel like sends a much more powerful signal to your body that it is time to start moving. That's at least the way that I've I guess handled it previously.
Yeah, I've never tried it before, I'm not sure, but I can definitely say that, at least for me, the leg muscles aren't that immediate of a tactic. Like, I always have to move attempt to move it multiple times and really put a lot of willpower into it before it actually works.
Understood. I mean, no matter what, shaking yourself out of sleep paralysis is always going to be a bit of an for most it's going to be a bit of an endeavor, unfortunately. I just figured I'd give my input on the matter.
Thanks a lot. Actually, what I haven't tried, but yeah, you have to get to that thought while in sleep paralysis is actually move the eyes, because the eye muscles usually still work also in REM sleep. So that's how they actually do objective testing on REM sleep content and dream content, because
Yeah.
they lucid dreamers, you probably heard of it, to give responses during the dream, and then they track that via electroencephalogram. Yeah, so that could be a possibility to just try to open your eyes again. But
Apologies. I would like to comment on that actually. So obviously nobody's experience is uniform, but I have tried the eyes.
okay, interesting.
Yeah, what it did for me was actually so I've gotten used to sleep paralysis. I guess I'm a bit privileged in the way that it doesn't I don't get as much terror from it as in like my mind doesn't try to scare the crap out of me. I guess that's what the lucid dreams are for, as I've mentioned previously. However, trying to move my eyes to get my body to snap out of sleep paralysis did induce a fairly deep state of panic. And I mean, if I had to spitball, I would assume that that is possibly and that is possibly because my brain takes it as an emulation of REM, considering I have that negative association with lucid dreaming at this point. Sadly, that's just sort of my a theory on it. I guess the only way to know for sure if it's a universal experience is for other people to try it.
It's everything is down to experience with our low count of test subjects. So every experience counts, and I'm very grateful for that personally.
For sure.
I think I have tried it once as well, and I think it actually did manage to wake me up. I don't get panicked very easily in sleep paralysis because I've gotten really used to it, despite all of the tactical hallucinations I get. But yeah, it's not something I do a lot.
Understandable. Yeah. Well, that's all I had to say on the matter. Thank you for giving me the chance to mention it. I shall see myself out now. Take it easy.
Right. Thank you all. I think that's an important topic I unfortunately cannot tell anything about. Good. Okay, I think it's time to close it. I will be answering questions in the chat. I'm looking through it, but it will take a bit. Okay, so that's it. Thanks everybody for joining. It was great fun. I hope you took away something, and see you for the next panel. Bye.